She saw what was coming from the tenor of the judge's words and decided to get out and go back to the party headquarters.
Joining me now from Paris is the Times journalist Charles Bremner. Hello, Charles.
There we go.
I only learned as I was reading that out that she's now been banned from running in the 2027 presidential election. Tell us a bit about that.
That's not quite what's happened. It's just been coming out. It's a few minutes ago. It was a bit of a bombshell. Nobody was expecting such a severe judgment. She's been banned from standing for elected office for 5 years. The important thing is that it's taken effect immediately, and that effectively takes her out of the running for the moment anyway for the 2027 presidential elections, and she, of course, as at the moment, is the favourite candidate.
So, I mean, the expectation would have been that if there were to be such a ban, it might have been delayed until after the election, as I understand it.
Normally in France, court sentences are delayed pending appeal, and that can take years. But the prosecutor in this case did ask for an immediate execution, as it says, as the term goes, and the judges have accepted the prosecutor's argument that this was a serious offence and that she should be out of elected office. But she can hold her seat in Parliament until the end of her term in Parliament at the moment, that she's not been banned from politics.
Explain for us the nature of the charges against her.
Le Pen took over from her father when she inherited the party in 2011. This is the National Rally Party, a system in which they siphoned off money from the European Parliament, paid for their parliamentary assistance, a total of 4.1 million euros now. And they use these funds to finance the working of what was the National Front, is now the National Rally, inside France. This was considered to be embezzlement. The court found this to be embezzlement, and she is paying the price.
I mean, there is not the suggestion that this was done for personal gain, right? This was just a system that they exploited the political structures, the political funding of one place in order to fund the political activities elsewhere, right?
That's correct, except the prosecutors and the judges noted that the Le Pen family lived in great comfort and with high salaries paid for by their party, which was being financed illegally by the European Parliament. The party itself was in very difficult financial straits for over 15 years at the time that this was taking place. So they did not pocket the money into their bank accounts, but they did benefit from it.
In the United States, we saw how legal cases against Donald Trump really served to galvanize his support and unite his supporters. Is it possible, is it feared that this could have a similar effect in France?
Very much so. Le Pen's supporters, all the opinion polls show, believe her argument that she's the victim of political machination. The prosecutors have been out to get her. It's very similar to President Trump. Her people are even saying that this should help her in the next election that she stands for. But the problem is, technically, at the moment, she's not going to be allowed to stand in 2027. But she can appeal, and appeal will mean a second trial. That will take place in about a year's time. And perhaps after that appeal, the judges will change their minds and allow her to stand.
If she doesn't stand, I mean, tell us about the National Rally. Is there an obvious deputy? Are there obvious other candidates who would fill the breach?
Well, the obvious one is the young man, 29-year-old, who runs the party, Jordan Bardella. He is Le Pen's protégé, dauphin, appointee. He has very little national political experience, and there are plenty other people in that party who think they're better qualified than him. So there's likely to be a struggle.
Wow. Look, finally, Charles, we understand Marine Le Pen left the court early. Do we know why she did that?
Well, she did it quite clearly in protest and a display of disgust with the judge's decision, because the judges took 2.5 hours to read out the verdicts. And of course, it's not just Le Pen. There are 2 dozen other officials in the party have received various sentences for their involvement. She saw what was coming from the tenor of the judge's words and decided to get out and go back to the party headquarters.
Recent election results suggest Marine Le Pen is the front-runner to be the next president of France. But in the next few hours, we're expecting a verdict in a corruption trial that could spell the end of her political career. Adam Sage is with us. He's been covering France for The Times for over the last 3 decades. Morning, Adam.
Good morning.
Just give us the background here, because some people may not have heard this story before. What exactly is happening today?
Yes, well, it's a long story that goes back about a decade with the National Rally, the National Front, as it was called in those days, accused of embezzling 4.5 million euros from European Parliament, effectively taking parliamentary assistance, money from the European Parliament to pay for parliamentary assistants who in fact work for the political party and not for the European Parliament. That's the accusation. The trial was heard last year. Marine Le Pen and 24 defendants linked to the party, former MEPs and people who work for the party, were on trial accused of it. And the prosecutors at the end of that trial, they asked for her to be given 5 years in prison with 3 suspended and the remaining 2 served under house arrest, so 2 years in prison under house arrest, 300,000 euros fine, and crucially 5 years of a bar for standing for office to be implemented immediately. And it's that last element that is really the key to this, because she said that is my political death. If the judges who are giving their verdict today back the prosecutors and go along with that, she will be barred from standing for office from today for the next 5 years. The next presidential election, as you said, for which she is the front runner, is 2027. It would knock her out of the race and completely overturn French politics.
And how likely is it that that will happen today?
It's a distinct possibility, since the prosecutors have gone for it, and the law does give the judges the right to implement a bar on standing for office immediately in this way. There is a huge political pressure on them not to do so, not only from the National Rally. As you can imagine, the National Rally is standing absolutely furiously behind Marine Le Pen over this, but also people from the centre and the centre-right have said that it would be a democratic denial if she was barred from standing in the 2027 presidential race. I mean, she's a major actor of French politics and has been for the last decade. So it's really a question. I think it would be a surprise, given the sound and fury around this, and given the way that it would be an earthquake, political earthquake, if Marine Le Pen was barred from running next time round. It would surprise me personally if the judges went for that, but they might.
Au miroir. Madame Le Pen, du porteur du
Est-ce qu'on peut prendre un peu de chance, très bien?
Le crime est dans l'essence, le crime lui-même ne se fait pas.
Putain, c'est la merde.